Alright, this is the end of an era. Norman Reedus, who's played the character of Daryl Dixon on The Walking Dead for 15 years, and honestly reinvented the show despite the fact his character is not even in the comics, he just finished up filming for his final episode of The Walking Dead, meaning he's out of the franchise forever. Norman Reedus joined the show The Walking Dead. He actually didn't audition for the part of Daryl Dixon because that character wasn't even created yet. He actually auditioned for Merle, who was played by Michael Rooker. The reason they created the character of Merle in the first place was just to kill him off, where they didn't think there were enough characters in the comics that could be killed off in the first 2 seasons, so just to get this idea that anyone can die, they decided to create Merle as actually the villain for season 1. Originally, Merle was supposed to be the main villain of season 1, where the plan was he has to lose his hand because of Rick Grimes, and then he comes back with this mob of people who are going to try and rob them, which caused this massive fight scene. But the reason that didn't end up happening was because when they wrote Walking Dead season 1, it was supposed to be 13 episodes, but the network didn't trust it, so they made it 6 episodes, so this character just really appears for 1 episode, loses his hand, and then he just disappears. What was crazy was entering Norman Reedus into the picture. When he auditioned, they actually wanted him for Merle because they thought he was doing a better job than Michael Rooker, but then they kind of realized they didn't like the idea of him just playing this 1-season villain, and they saw this potential where they could use him later on in the series, so they created the character of Daryl just to keep the idea open of him staying on longer. In season 2, they told Norman Reedus they wanted to follow the comics a little closer, so they'd probably kill him off, and there were 3 different episodes that had his character dying, but they ended up not pulling the trigger. The reason they decided not to kill off Norman Reedus was because of John Bernthal playing the character of Shane, where they knew that character was going to die like in the comics at the end of season 2, but then they realized there really would only be Andrew Lincoln playing Rick to be kind of the tough guy of the group, and they needed a second tough guy, so that's why Norman Reedus came in and they decided to keep his character. What really helped out Norman Reedus was at the end of season 2, they voted his character most popular one in the show, which was incredible seeing how he's not in the comics. So obviously at that point, the creator said, hey, your character is safe. And there was also this hashtag that formed, if Daryl dies, we riot. And because of the popularity, things got really cool for Norman Reedus as the show continued, where originally he was only making $8,000 an episode in season 1, while Andrew Lincoln was making $40,000 an episode. Then cut to season 7, and these guys are just printing money, with Andrew Lincoln at $650,000 an episode and Norman Reedus at $550,000. After Andrew Lincoln decided to leave the series in season 8, in season 9, Norman Reedus was just printing money at $1 million an episode, meaning he was making $20 million a year on The Walking Dead, so he actually is the biggest Walking Dead alumni salary-wise. Sadly, all good things come to an end, and The Walking Dead was just past its expiration date, where in its high it was getting 18 million viewers an episode, but then by the final season it was 2 million viewers, and then ultimately decided to end the show because it was costing too much money. And after that, they tried to give Norman Reedus his own show, which was just called Daryl Dixon, but it never really found its moment, getting only 1 million viewers an episode. I watched the Daryl Dixon show for a few episodes. It was definitely not bad, but I think the problem is there's just too many Walking Dead spin-offs where they've made 6 of them at this point, and they're just so convoluted it was just too hard to follow, so Daryl never got his moment. Now Norman Reedus just filmed his last episode as Daryl Dixon. He said he's probably never going to come back again, so this is kind of like Hugh Jackman leaving the Wolverine, but with that, I'm Charles Perrault. Please subscribe to learn something.